right, so welcome and thank you for joining us today for a little lunch hour chat about how we can maintain our connections during physically distanced holidays. My name is Mia Croyle, and I represent the Superior Health Quality Alliance. So hopefully what you'll get out of our little chat is just a recognition of the ongoing importance of physical distancing during this time of COVID-19 pandemic, and also a recognition of the importance of social connection, both for ourselves and our own well-being and the well-being of those around us. And our main focus for today is going to be to hopefully generate some ideas, share some thoughts and experiences about about activities that can possibly enhance that sense of being connected, even if we're physically apart, both for the holidays and moving into our new year for the duration of the time that we need to be practicing some physical distancing. So a couple reminders for today, just so you know, our call today is being recorded. If you are not comfortable being a part of the recorded call, it will also be shared on several of the partnering organizations' Facebook feed afterwards. So at this time, if you're not comfortable being part of a recorded call, we can invite you to log out and just view the recording at a later date. Otherwise, we will be recording this and sharing it, sharing the recording with others. Please, if you haven't already, mute yourself to cut down on background noise. And if you need help in recognizing or in working the controls and knowing how to do that, you can feel free to chat the participant listed as Superior Health QIO. We strongly encourage your participation throughout the talk. There are some specific times that I put in a request for your participation, but throughout the entire time, if you have a question or a comment or something you'd like to contribute, please feel free to do that at any point during this time. You can either participate by typing in the chat box, and my colleague Jill is graciously volunteered to sort of mind the chat box and share out any contributions that people make via that. You can use the raise hand feature in Zoom, or if your video is turned on, you can physically raise your hand, or you can simply unmute yourself and chime in. We are a reasonably sized group, so just unmuting yourself and chiming in would not be too disruptive for anyone. If you are joining us just by phone and not the full Zoom platform, the way that you can participate is by hitting *6. And that is both to unmute yourself and to mute yourself again. So again, that's *6. And of course, throughout the time, we just invite you to respect one another. There are lots of different viewpoints on these challenging times and ways to be safe and well during them. So please be respectful of your other participants and be open to new ideas. None of us have lived through times like this before. So we're all going to have to maybe stretch and flex ourselves a little bit and try things that we haven't done before. So a little bit about physical distancing. What is it? So physical distancing means staying at home, avoiding crowds, and for our current pandemic, staying at least 6 feet away from others whenever possible. I've heard 6 feet described as 2 shopping cart lengths, also the length of a bear. So if that helps you visualize that 6 feet when you're out and about, you want to stay a bear's width apart from anyone else, or 2 shopping carts. We know that the less time we spend within that 6 feet radius of other people outside our household, and the fewer people that we interact with, the more likely we are to slow the spread of COVID-19. And that doesn't mean we're completely unlikely, but it greatly reduces the likelihood that we're going to be spreading COVID-19, both in catching it, or if we have it and aren't aware of it, in sharing it with others. Now, this continues to be important. and will be important through our holidays as well. So some current data on where you're at in Rusk County. The disease activity for the time period between October 21st and November 3rd, so the last sort of publicly reported data shows, classifies Rusk County disease activity as very high with a growing trajectory. And we're showing about 983 cases per 100,000 people. And when we look at COVID hospitalizations, not just on the county, but in the entire Northwest region, within that same time period of October 21st to November 3rd, we're seeing that COVID hospitalizations have been growing by about 55%. So we really are currently at a time when we're starting to experience shortages of hospital beds, and our community spread is very widespread. The Department of Health Services has recommended, they say, we continue to recommend avoiding gatherings with people you do not live with for the holidays. Staying home and celebrating with those in your household is the best way to protect yourself and others. Sorry, I have a little one asking me about lunch right now. So some considerations, if you do decide to gather for the holidays, ways that we can control that risk level. So outdoor activities are considered safer than indoor activities. I know our weather in Wisconsin isn't super cooperative for having outdoor fun around Thanksgiving and Christmas, but we know that poorly ventilated, fully enclosed indoor spaces pose the highest risk. So any opportunity to increase ventilation or get as close to an outdoor ventilation system as possible would help minimize the risk. We also know that longer gatherings pose more risk, and the more people involved in the gathering increases the risk. So more people equals more risk. When you are gathering in person, keeping physical distance, wearing masks, and utilizing hand sanitizer and other good hygiene practices are still very important. And for those families that really feel strongly about gathering in person for the holidays, a recommendation from the CDC is that you may want to consider strictly avoiding contact with people outside of your household for that quarantine period of 14 days before and 14 days after the gathering. So that will help reduce the chances that if anything is shared at that gathering, that you're passing it on to others or sharing it beyond that. So when we think about social connection, so social connection is that feeling of closeness and connectedness to others. It's highly rooted in our feelings of belonging, love, the values that we share. And during this unique time, it's really important that we not completely disconnect with one another. You may have heard a lot of mention of what we've been calling social distancing, which I've been terming physical distancing, because we really want to distinguish that although we're physically apart, we need to find ways to nurture and maintain that social connection. The American Psychological Association has found that perceived social isolation is linked to adverse health consequences, including depression, poor sleep quality, impaired brain function, an increase in cognitive decline, poor cardiovascular or heart function, and impaired immunity. And that's true for individuals at every stage of life. So young and old and everything in between experience these negative health consequences of feeling isolated or the lack of social connection. And we know that reaching out to people you trust is one of the best ways that we can reduce anxiety, depression, loneliness, and boredom, all of which have, for a lot of people, been key features of this time with our pandemic. So really, how can we stay connected while apart? And this is where I hope you'll be thinking along with me. And as we're going through some ideas, thinking about ways that you can share other ideas that you've had or that your family and social group has tried that have worked for you. So there are video chat applications, right? So there's a bunch of different platforms you can use, and connecting over video can be helpful. We know that seeing the faces of our loved ones can be a powerful thing, and also having those faces sort of come to life, so not just being a static picture, but eye contact and movement along with those faces can really stimulate your brain's social engagement system. And we know from our brain science that when we're feeling anxiety, when we're feeling unsafe, that social engagement system is one thing that can help us come down from that. So it can help reduce anxiety, reduce feelings of being unsafe for some people. We also know that technology can be a challenge in doing this, particularly in reaching out to people who may have limited access to internet. Also in reaching out to our older loved ones who may not be comfortable with technology, may not be as used to utilizing technology for these solutions. So that is a very real challenge and barrier to some for participating or connecting in that way. We also know that for some people, this kind of connection can be disorienting, particularly individuals who are experiencing dementia of some type. At times, those video applications can be disorienting. So while it's a promising practice, and it certainly is something I would encourage people to try, we have to keep in mind that it's not necessarily going to be the answer and the thing that works for everybody. Other ways to connect, right? So if video chat doesn't work, or if you're feeling kind of burnt out on video chat, other ways to connect: writing letters and postcards, sending tangible things like art or craft through the mail. So something you've handmade or maybe are partway through handmaking, right? And sending that can offer a tangible thing that someone can put their hands on, and it may be less of a disorienting kind of thing. Also, knowing that routine phone calls or some scheduled time of interaction can offer a sense of routine and normalcy, and something that people feel that they can count on for connection. We can also make physical visits to people using our distancing practices. So, whether it's visiting outside and they're inside, or all of us are outside and we keep a space apart. I know a lot of neighbors and neighborhoods have done things like lunch hour, where everyone sits at the end of their driveway and has lunch, and they sort of chat across the road and across the way with one another. So things like that are ways that we can maintain that connection. We can also do more interactive things as a connection. So we could have a coloring book or start a coloring page and send that back and forth to complete the picture together. I color one section of the picture, pop it in the mail, send it to someone else. They color another section, send it on. This is a great cross-generational kind of activity. And it is, we know sort of there's this adult coloring book craze going on right now. So we know that coloring can be a anxiety reducing activity and a way to help calm people. It's also a way to establish some of that connection. We could do the same thing with writing a story, right? So everyone writes one paragraph and then puts it in the mail and passes it on to the next person who adds another paragraph to that story. And this is, again, a great intergenerational type of activity. And we could, at the end, you could type the whole story up and, send it out as a little bit of a book that you wrote together during these times. And another activity would be Flat Stanley, or a Flat Stanley-like activity. Flat Stanley is a children's book about someone who gets flattened. And it's not as grotesque as it sounds, but it has been a movement for many years now. And schools do a lot of Flat Stanley type activities where they might have a paper cutout of someone, and then they send it around to other people in their family who take pictures of that paper cutout in various places. So this is, a great way through the mail that you could incorporate a little piece of something common in your day-to-day activities. And it doesn't have to be a paper cutout. I know individuals who've done that with a small stuffed animal that they send, and then they take pictures of that small stuffed animal in their day, participating in their day-to-day life, and then send the stuffed animal and those pictures along to the next person. So those are just some general ways that potentially we could connect. I'd love to hear from you now. What has been your experience? What new and creative ways or sort of old standby ways have you used to connect with others during the past 8 to 9 months? Again, as a reminder, ways to contribute. You can type in the chat box. You can unmute yourself and just share that way. If you're on the phone, *6 is an unmute, is how you unmute yourself. If not, if you're on the screen, you can find your little mute button and share out. You can raise your hand. Try and look and see if I.
Mia, we've got some suggestions coming through on the chat. So we've got video calls.
Great.
Another person shared with my sister, we have scheduled a time each week to watch the same movie and text each other during the movie.
Oh, that's great.
And another one is porch visits and campfire visits.
Ah, I love it. I love it. Yes, my porch became my very favorite place in the world during this time. I'm lamenting the cold weather is going to shut that down at some point in the future, not yet.
So we've got a few more coming through. So my family uses the Marco Polo app to talk to each other through videos. So if you haven't heard of that, it's actually a really neat application. I do it myself. I have a niece in another state, and you can watch the video at any time, and you can just, they sort of get a notification and then they can respond back to you. So it's just a way to stay connected as well. We've got we've got more coming through. So right away it was sending letters and pictures via snail mail. It has decreased, however, as months have gone by. Yeah, I would agree. I think that's been something that's been a highlight. I think prior to this webinar, Mia and I mentioned I should probably start doing that a little more because it is really neat to get something in the mail besides a bill. Another one is video chat. So again, Mia, you mentioned that FaceTime and Facebook chat.
All wonderful suggestions. I love some of the new ones that we heard in there. I found, I personally had a great time with some of my digging through my box of old postcards I had, because I'm always very enthusiastic when I travel and think I'm going to send a lot more postcards than I do. So I had a backlog of, old trips and vacations and things that I had unused postcards for that I, being the pack rat that I am, never threw away. So I had a great time just pulling all those old postcards out and sending them around, even though I wasn't on vacation at any of those wonderful places at the time. So lots of great ideas, lots of ways that, it does take effort. And I definitely hear that comment that the person shared of, we did a lot of this at the beginning and now it's kind of tapered off a little bit. And I think, that's that, we hear a lot about pandemic fatigue. That's that fatigue that I think we're all experiencing because it is just, it can be wearing on us all, right? So thinking about, maybe are there things you want to revisit at this time, or are there new things you might want to try after having sort of enthusiastically participated at the beginning and then maybe waned your efforts a little bit in the recent time. Was there another comment in the chat, or did we get them all?
We did get the, oh, wait. Yep, so video chat. We've got FaceTime, Facebook chat. Oh yeah, and the virtual bingo was another one.
Virtual bingo, that's a new one. Yes, that is, I've heard virtual bingo. I've heard of people doing virtual trivia nights. I can tell you at our workplace, we have a time when we've just been doing different games And we've done Would You Rather, which is a game that just poses some different questions, like, would you rather, I don't remember what one of them was, eat bugs or swallow a live snail, or something like that. And then there's sort of these ridiculous competitions between two things. And some of them are two wonderful things, like, would you rather be able to be invisible or fly? And they're just ways to stimulate discussion. And other kinds of trivia cards and things like that. So those are all great ways. I think it's important to remember that we have to build in fun and joy into our interactions. We have to find ways to capture that joy because that is what sustains our spirits. So thinking about holiday ideas, right? So for a lot of people, the thought of not celebrating holidays face-to-face, gathered in a large room with all your family, is a really challenging thing. So first of all, I think it's important to recognize that we should acknowledge that for some people, there's a real sense of grief and loss in the way that our holidays are going to look this year. It's just going to be different for a lot of people. So thinking of ways, given that it's going to be different, how can we try to capture some of the specialness that lives within our holidays and have them be something that enhances our sense of connectedness as opposed to has people feeling isolated and increased loneliness. So the first is around holiday meals. So we know that meals are maybe not for every family, but for a lot of families, they are the cornerstone of our holiday celebrations. So what are some ways that we can share meals even if we're not physically all gathered in the same room? So one idea is to have a family cooking show. You could invite a family member to come up with a special recipe, and they're going to be the host of the cooking show that day. And they could send that recipe with either an ingredient list or ingredients to make the recipe, and then join a virtual chat. So using our video chat technology, they could walk us through the steps and we could all cook along. And that's a way to share special recipes and recreate some of those, or try to recreate some of those special things that normally have such an important place at our holiday table. This is a great way for potentially the older adults in our family to share some of those traditional dishes. And it may be a way to get some of our young adults and teens and tweens who are new at the cooking game, but to help them, research a recipe that they might want to share with other people and give them a chance to sort of shine as well. So that's one idea. Family meals to go would be another one. So potentially, if you have one person who normally does all the cooking, they could still do all the cooking, prepare all those traditional favorites, snap up some of these happy holiday decorations and some great to-go containers and package those meals to go. And then, have a pickup time or share them at some way, and then come back together and enjoy your meal together virtually. So you're eating the same stuff, you're eating it at the same time, having conversation over phone or video chat while you're doing it. You could also do this potluck style so that the burden of all of the cooking doesn't fall on one person, but everyone could prepare something and package it up in, X number of individual containers. And then you could meet somewhere, exchange all of those, and then go home and enjoy the bounty of delicious food. So, just because we're not dining together doesn't mean we can't have some shared experiences around food. We could think about moving into the Christmas holiday season a little bit, doing some family cookie baking. So this is nice because, thinking about the Thanksgiving meal and the Christmas meal, those are kind of high pressure events where it all has to happen on one day, or we think it does. Maybe we could make it into a week-long celebration of Thanksgiving where something new comes out, a new dish is served each day. But generally, we think about that as there's a big meal on one particular day. So the nice thing about family cookie baking is it happens in the ramp up to the holiday. So we can do that without the pressure of it being on the actual holiday. So we could do a cookie swap where everybody together bakes a different cookie and mails them out to other people. So you still have that wonderful plate of mixed cookies that you would get at a cookie swap. Or we could do a bake along, just like the family cooking show kind of thing, or a decorate along, right? So especially if you have little ones who maybe aren't going to be able to tolerate all of the baking, someone in the family maybe makes a lot of sugar cookies and mails them out to everyone with a package of decorating materials. And then you all get on a video chat call and decorate cookies together or something like that. I know families that do that anyway. And I also know if you don't have a lot of bakers in your family, there are some companies that are creating kits. So you could mail kits to, your family members that someone else creates, and then you could all open up your kits on the video chat and decorate away at the same time, and with with Christmas music playing in the background and hot cocoa on the stove and all of our wonderful holiday atmosphere happening. Another thing that is, could be particularly meaningful over the holidays, but is really great for any time is sharing photos. So we could think about in the holidays, we could pull up lots of past holiday memories by sharing photos of past holidays, or we could create new photos to share with our loved ones. So we can think about lots of different ways to share those things. There's a lot of digital photo frames or other digital ways that we can share all those photos that we take with our cell phones and our digital cameras. Or we could think about if a digital photo frame might not be as meaningful to someone who really wants that tactile experience, we could create those photo books that you can, there are several companies that you can just send off your digital photos, lay them out in a book and send them as a book. We could create a traditional photo book, scrapbooky style, with all our memories in it, and send those out as well. So sharing photos can be a meaningful activity, both at the holidays and beyond. And we could think about holiday crafts and doing those together as well. So we know that those hands-on projects, making art, doodling, coloring, they're healing and very calming for anxiety. And they can be just flat out fun to do. We can think about, having a time where we all make a turkey craft together, or a little decoration for the upcoming holidays. Snowflakes are not necessarily tied to the holidays, but they could be, all of those kinds of things. And again, just like the cooking, these are great cross-generational activities because it doesn't have to be anything complex. It doesn't have to be super involved. It doesn't have to require a lot of materials, but it's a way to spend time together virtually while doing something tangible and tactile. And then another important thing about music, and this could potentially be very important for our older adults who may be experiencing dementia or memory loss, is sharing music. So we know that music is very closely tied to memory, and the holiday associations of carols and hymns and childhood songs are very strong. So we could think about sending a recording, particularly recordings of children singing those holiday songs just bring a lot of joy. Or we could think about caroling together virtually, and how do we sing together over a call? Or whether it's a video call or just a phone call even. So are there ways that we can share some music over the holidays as well? So again, this is a time when I really want to hear from you guys. What ideas do you have for the holidays? We've had a few holidays already, not our big winter holidays, but what things have you maybe done already, or what ideas do you have for the upcoming holidays? And or what might you try? So is there something shared, whether it's something I'm sharing or whether you hear from another participant, that you might want to commit to? I'm going to give that a go. This is something I haven't done before, but I want to try it. So again, you can type in the chat, unmute yourself and share verbally. If you're on the phone, *6 is the way to unmute yourself to verbally participate.
We have a few more ideas coming through via chat. So one individual shared, my mom and I discussed baking and decorating cookies at the same time and talking over Facebook Messenger. Another one said, over this summer, we went out on the lake in separate boats and were able to hang out together.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Another one shared, I love the sharing the music bit. I like the idea of burning a CD of favorite holiday songs and sending it to loved ones.
Yeah.
I was also thinking too, Mia, you mentioned sort of the flat Stanley, but if we're thinking about the holidays, you could do a flat snowman.
Mm-hmm. A gingerbread man and all his adventures in all our different houses. I've been trying to think about if there's something, we have an elf on the shelf who comes to our house, if there's a way that he could travel to my kid's cousin's house in Colorado and have some adventures there and then come back or something. He might try that out this year.
Yep. So we got some more coming in. Let's see. We've got on a nicer winter day, a campfire and social distance visit would be nice. Hot chocolate is a must.
Yes, we can certainly bundle up. We have some of those wonderful warm winter days. Maybe we'll have some around our holidays.
Yep. So someone else suggested a flat elf on the shelf. So that might be a way, Mia, to get your elf on the shelf to Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another one shared, my husband and I decided to exchange gifts for the first time in a while just to make the holidays brighter.
That reminds me of another one that I saw that I didn't include in here, which was a distanced Secret Santa. So where everyone sort of sends, we sort of, however it is, we determine who's participating and who has which name, but then they send secret gifts, secret small little tidbits in the weeks coming up to Christmas, and then sort of have maybe a call where we reveal who everyone's Secret Santa is, or send the last present with the reveal in it, and we all open those together. And it could even be a weekly thing where every week we send something, and then and it's a secret, but we open our gifts together on a call. Open those Secret Santa gifts together on a call.
I like that idea too. So Mia, the flat Stanley, someone commented, it sounds like the sisterhood of the traveling pants.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And then another one we had a contest between families logged into Zoom, and we all made and decorated our own lamb cake. It was hilarious.
It kind of sounds a little bit like that Nailed It challenge. If anyone's watched that show where people who are not professional decorators try to decorate cakes. These are all great ideas. And I think that, looks like we have a little more in there.
Yeah, that's exactly where the idea came from. Nailed it.
Yeah. So, I think I think what I love about some of these ideas is they're very personal, right? So I can come up with a lot of ideas for potential things, but you know your family's best. You know your loved ones best, and you know what will be meaningful to them, what will be hilarious to them, what will bring them joy, and what will bring them a sense of comfort and connection during the holidays. And so I encourage you all to just lean into that, because you're the experts on how your family connects. You're the experts on what people need and what works best. So I love the examples that we've shared with creativity and thinking out of the box. And nobody's going to have the one right answer for you and your family, but I think there are a lot of answers out there. It's a challenging time, and people really do feel like the holidays may have lost a little bit of their shine this year. And so if we can think intentionally about how to bring some of that joy back, some of that shine back, and create maybe new traditions. One of the benefits that we've experienced is my nieces live in Colorado, and so we don't traditionally spend holidays with them. We don't traditionally spend a lot of time with them, but we've had new connections established now that we're hoping to keep and maintain even after the pandemic is over and we're all back to sort of quote unquote life as usual. It'll be nice to have this enhanced connection with them. So are there maybe new traditions? You can start now. The traveling toilet paper roll. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but whatever, you know, fits best within the culture of your family, I encourage you to lean into that and do that and work on that. And we're early enough in the time that I think people have some time yet to plan and really bring some magic to these holidays for our loved ones. Now my screen won't move forward. Let's see if I can. Oh, so I just want to give a thank you to our hosts, the folks who invited us to be on this call is the Rusk County I-Team Caregiver Coalition, and you see some of the participants in that coalition listed on the screen. And so they all work to help coordinate this and bring this to you. If you have any questions, if you have some great outcomes and ideas that you want to share, you can feel free to, and you're welcome to reach out to me. I can include these. I know that these presentations are also going to be posted on, or this presentation, this video is going to be posted on the Facebook page of several of the participating organizations. So if you have additional ideas or pictures of things you've done that you want to share that way on social media, please do that, because the more voices that are participating in the discussion, the more robust the discussion will be and the more ideas others in your community will have to work from as they think about what it will take for their family. So that is the end of what I had prepared for you. If anyone has any questions or any comments, please feel free to put them in the chat now. That seems to be your preferred way of commenting. So we'll keep it open for a few minutes if anybody wants to share anything further or ask any questions. But I appreciate you taking time out of your lunch hour to think with us about how to stay connected during our physically distanced holiday times.
Mia, we had one more idea
Yeah.
for folks, and one had, my family likes to make duct tape balls to throw at Christmas.
Ah, all right. That is a new one. So maybe sending the duct tape around to everyone, make sure that everyone has a sufficient supply of duct tape to throw. Wonderful. Well, thanks everybody for joining. And that concludes our presentation for the day.